Hello, my name is Anonymous. I am a writer, director, and producer. And today, I am gone. Now share with you a brand new, spooky children's animated horror story idea. So this one is called The Arctic Signal. It's written in American English, said S. For kids between the ages of 6 and 12. It has got just the right amount of suspense and mystery and creepiness for that age group. And let's get into the logline. So the logline is when two siblings are brought to their uncle's Arctic base. They must stop an evil entity from awakening by deciphering a cryptic signal before it's too late. Okay, so here's the breakdown. So the opening scene takes place at the frozen base. Now background music throughout the whole movie will be super important. So we start off with slow wind, howls, and soft eerie tones. So that tells the audience we're in the Arctic. We pan over the snowy mountains and glaciers, and then come to rest on the front of the building, which reads, Arctic Research Base. It's a medium-sized building with lots of windows. Outside, we see a parked helicopter. Inside, 3 characters are walking in. We've got Jake, who's a curious 10-year-old science lover, Mayo, who's his brave 9-year-old little sister, and their uncle Drive Nova, a friendly Arctic scientist. As they settle in, Jake can't help but explore. He walks into a supply closet and finds an old radio. As he turns it on, the static crackles and the signal begins. Now this first transmission is distorted and unsettling, so it gives the audience a hint of the danger to come. Help, the signal. I'm not alone. Help. The kids look at each other. Jake asks, did that radio just talk to us? He tries to tune it, but it seems stuck on that frequency. They leave it there and go to check out the base. It's high-tech and well-equipped for Arctic research, but also very empty. So, we know that Dr. Nova works here alone. Maya notices footprints in the snow outside. She suggests that someone else might be at the base, but Dr. Nova reassures her that nobody else lives this far north. That night, Jake sneaks back to the lab. He can't sleep and wants to figure out the signal. Meanwhile, Maya wakes up thirsty. She goes to get a drink of water but accidentally knocks over a lamp. As she bends down to pick it up, she sees a footprint on the floor. It's the same shape as the ones outside. Then she hears the whispering, "Start again." She follows the sound and bumps right into Jake. He's listening intently to the radio. It says, "Don't trust the shadows, they're waking up." Suddenly, the lights flicker and go out. A cold gust of wind blows through the room. The radio bursts with static. And above the roar, they hear a deep, growly whisper. It says, "They're almost here." Jake grabs the radio and runs out of the room. He whispers, "Maya, we have a problem." The next morning, Jake and Maya are still shaken from the events of the night before. They tell Dr. Nova about the signal and the whispering. He's skeptical, but lets them help him with his work so they can distract themselves. Now, following the previous night's transmissions, Jake and Maya take a device to the old satellite tower to try and trace the signal. It leads them outside into the ice fields. And there they find an old tower half buried in snow. Beneath it, they find a slab of glowing ice. They chip away the snow to reveal strange symbols on it. And upon closer inspection, they realize it's actually a map. One spot is marked with what looks like a star. Dr. Nova arrives and tells them it's time to go. He doesn't want them getting too close to the old tower. They say goodbye and race back to the base. But as they approach, the ground beneath them cracks. They barely escape as the ice gives way, revealing a vast cavern. Jake drops his backpack in the process, and it falls into the crevice. Determined to retrieve it, they shimmy out onto the ice shelf. As Maya reaches down to grab the bag, another chunk of ice breaks off. Jake panics and grabs her hand, but the ice breaks completely and they slide down into the dark abyss. Thankfully, the hole isn't deep and they land in a pile of snow. Shocking, but okay. They dig their way out and run back to the base. That night, they hear the whispers outside again. This time, they're much louder and closer. The wind is howling. Dr. Nova opens the door cautiously, but nothing's there. He reassures the kids that it's probably just the wind. But as they watch, the shadows outside begin to writhe and twist. Some move toward the base. Jake and Maya hide while the shadows pass by. It looks like they were stalking them. Back in the lab, they look at the map again. Jake realizes that the symbol is actually an arrow pointing towards the old tower. The signal must have been coming from there. Suddenly, the lights go out again. They hear a crash in the hall. It sounds like something large moving around. The shadows from outside are creeping closer and closer. Now, remembering the map, the kids know they have to get to the tower, but they're afraid to go out in the storms. Dr. Nova helps them realize that if they don't do something, the shadows will enter the base, and who knows what will happen next. Armed with UV lights and flares, they head out into the blizzard. The wind is biting, and the snow is freezing, but they press on. When they reach the tower, it's clear that whoever was inside it is gone. The radio is on the ground, and the antenna is broken. The only thing left behind is a single glove, the same size as Jake's, except it's covered in ice. As they examine it, the whispering starts up again. It's louder than ever. The shadows are almost upon them. They need to get back to the base, fast. Suddenly, the radio crackles to life. The voice is now calm and says, "You found my gift. Bring light to banish me, and I will finally be free." They barely make it back to the base. The shadows are gaining on them. Inside, they lock the doors and turn on every light they have. The shadows recoil slightly, but they're still visible. The radio says, "It's too late. You should have destroyed my signal. Now I will claim the Arctic as my own." The whispering reaches a fever pitch, and the shadows seem to grow stronger. Then Jake has an idea. He rigs all the UV lamps together and aims them at the radio. He also turns on the heaters and sets off a flare gun. Bright, ultraviolet light bursts through the room. The radio explodes with static. The shadows writhe in pain and then evaporate into nothingness. The signal cuts out, and silence fills the room. The next morning, the sun peeks over the horizon. Birds chirp, and the wind is calm. Dr. Nova thanks the kids for saving the Arctic. He admits he didn't believe them about the signal, but he's grateful they followed their instincts. As they prepare to leave, Jake glances back at the tower. A single shadow flickers behind it. He quietly tells Maya, "Let's hope the light never goes out again." And that's the end of our spooky kids adventure. If you liked this story idea and would like to get more like it, please subscribe. It really helps us out. And we'll catch you next time.